What is up, bros? Josh here. In today's video, we are going over the second version of the USS California, the Tier 7 Premium USN Battleship, and this one got some small changes, some buffs, and those buffs were pretty noticeable when you started playing this ship, and they affect both the gun range as well as the Sigma, which is basically the consistency of the shells when you're firing your salvos. So the range was increased from a measly 17 kilometers up to 19.1, and this was actually quite nice. One of the biggest downsides of this ship in the first version, it's still work in progress though, so these stats are subject to change, was that it had such a short range on its shells. Also, one of the things that was changed was the Sigma up from 1.7 to 1.8. Basically, it just means that the shells from the salvo are going to be more consistent. That's kind of what that means. So these are pretty noticeable. It kind of felt nice. Now, the biggest downside of this ship for me wasn't so much the original guns, it wasn't so much the original the range. I mean, that was okay, yeah, there's a bit of a trade-off here, yada yada. It was the ship was so slow, and it still is. As you see, we're super slow. So how does the ship feel now? I think it feels overall pretty solid. Now, what briefly is the California? Figure a tier 7 New Mexico with Colorado level life, but you're just at tier 7. That's pretty much what this ship is. So does it offer enough at tier 7 now? I think with these improvements and a little bit longer of range, actually with spotter plane being able to hit 26.6 kilometers, you're going to be doing a lot better. This is going to help one of the glaring issues where it couldn't actually up tier very well, but still the things that are going to hold the ship back are still going to really kind of hold it back, which is its speed and also the smaller caliber guns. However, though, I think this ship does offer something that's kind of nice, which is pretty much a quantity over quality when it comes to the Colorado at tier 7. That's the seems to why would I play this instead of the Colorado. This thing is going to be stronger against cruisers and destroyers, and the Colorado is going to be stronger against battleships. The main reason being is the Colorado is going to have the bigger shells. These are going to have more shells going out, so that means more chances of getting citadels, more chances of just getting hits in general. But the downside is going to be when you're still up tiering, you will be going against ships that have bigger armor, and it may even make you rely on a little bit of HE when going against now tier 9s. This going against Musashi, it's not going to be a very good sight. You can't really balance a ship from being bottom tiered, but it's always something that is definitely there, so it's something that's worth talking about. However, though, there were plenty of games that I was playing where I was bottom tier, and with the extended range, you're able to kind of poke and prod and actually get a decent amount of damage. I felt that this ship did quite well. I think tier 7 is a pretty solid tier for when it comes to battleships and just ships in general. It's one of my favorite tiers. And overall, it's a pretty solid tier. It really kind of is. This ship, though, I think does offer enough of a unique playstyle. One of the things I was really excited about is the California has really high AA, and we got a double CV game. I was super excited, but as you'll see throughout this entire game, they completely avoided me. That was one of the things when I was streaming this game, and we stream all these games live on twitch.tv/mejash, is that double CV game, and none of them went for the test ship. What is this? I was expecting to be fighting off planes the entire game. Not a single plane will be shut down by the test battleship in a double CV game, sadly. But the California has really solid AA. I'm always a fan of high AA battleships. I like that because being able to defend yourself against those pesky planes is something that's quite a bonus. And there you go. Even against some battleships, you're going to do quite fine. And there you go, you'll see the other tier 7 counterpart. So let's just compare it again really to the Colorado. Now, what's going to win 1v1 Colorado versus California? Probably the Colorado will. The bigger caliber shells are just going to smash the ever-living hell out of pretty much every battleship at this tier. Laughs and sign up. I know the tier 7 Russian battleship kind of just laughs at everything, but those big shells are going to be better when it comes to battleship versus battleship. However, though, it's kind of the West Virginia at tier 6 syndrome of West Virginia versus New Mexico, where I think the New Mexico overall is a better ship, but the West Virginia is better battleship versus battleship. Getting those big hits and being able to overmatch armor is something that is quite nice and is something you will really enjoy. Also, having the ability to shoot down planes Colorado doesn't have bad AA, but the California has wonderful AA, and you will definitely shred some planes. I don't think you quite need to maybe spec out for AA, but it definitely is there. But the smaller caliber shells are going to be noticeable as having a weakness against something that's maybe angling in. And as I mentioned, HE probably won't be the worst idea against some ships, especially when you're going to be going bottom tier. But just because, like, I don't want to harp on that too much, because that's something that a lot of ships at tier 7 kind of have to deal with. Just getting bottom tiered is not the best thing for being, especially a battleship. You're kind of just almost a point pinata. Although you are going to kind of lack that little bit of a, and there's, as you see, the consistency. So the shells of the California, to me, it feels a lot like the New Mexico when I'm firing it. It makes sense. They're kind of the same ship in a way. It is sometimes you'll get great salvos, sometimes you'll get shotgun. So, but the improved to the Sigma is going to help that. Now, there have been a couple other things that have been theorized that this ship might get or should get. A couple of those have been speed boost. Do I think it gets speed boost? No, I don't think it will end up getting speed boost. I think it would be fun. I always love, and as you see right here, this is what I'm talking about, the quantity over quality. A nice little salvo on the cruiser, and there you go, a nice little chunker right there. So again, your prime target is going to be destroyers and cruisers. You'll even see us do a decent amount of damage against battleships here, but having more shells going out from a battleship is always a plus when it comes to cruisers, as we made that person disappear from 100% to 0% with the help of our teammate. But you also see the reason I picked this game, it wasn't a crazy big game, but it was, I think, a very normal, very average game. We happened to be top tier, but when we were bottom tier, we still did pretty decent. But this game really showed off kind of what the ship could do, the strengths and weaknesses. As you see right there, we hit, I think, 6 shells. That would have been a really big hit in the Colorado because you had that bigger caliber. But I don't think we would have got that salvo on the Graf Spey. So just that little 30-second clip of those 2 salvos is a perfect example of what you are kind of trading off for with this ship. You're trading that more shells going out for the weakness that is against armored ships. You know, that is the trade-off of it overall. However, though, back to kind of the theorized things that have come up on stream, people talking about in chat when we're playing these, is speed boost. That's one of the big things. That's my biggest thing with this ship, is it's so slow, but so is the Colorado. It's a tier 7 battleship. You're talking about ships that were made a long time ago, if you want to look at the realism in this. But yeah, do I think they're going to give it speed boost? No. Do I think it really, would I like to have it? Yeah, it'd be cool. You know, I always like ships having a little bit more speed and getting around, but this thing bleeds speed really fast, and so that's kind of the toughest part for me about this ship, is that you're trying to get in situations, and especially in higher tiers, if you do get bottom tiered, you have to kind of plan for it going forward. So do I want to go? Where is the enemy team going? Because if you are on north or something like that, or Two Brothers, let's just say, and you go one side and the rest of the team goes to the other side, you are going to spend the entire game just sailing slowly, getting left in the dust by literally anything. And so would I like to see speed boost? Yeah, I think it'd be cool. Do I think they'll add it? No. So speed boost, I think, will probably be nothing. One other thing is an extension to its secondaries. So making almost like a quote-unquote secondary spec battleship. Now, it does have really good AA. Do I think that they should give a little bit extra range to the secondaries? Well, do I think it needs it? I guess that's a different question. No, I don't. But do I like the idea? Well, it kind of follows a pattern that we've seen recently. USN battleships, which I think Wargaming should have just done instead of making premium ships, should have made a separate line of a normal battleship, kind of a balanced battleship line, and a secondary battleship line. I think that would have been a lot of fun. I think it would have offered a difference in playstyle. However, they would have had to do that a long time ago. They still might have a chance, but we've seen that with the North Carolina, and then having the Massachusetts. Massachusetts is a little less accurate, but has great secondaries. We've seen that with the Iowa and the Georgia. The Georgia offers now the pattern of trading bigger guns but fewer guns for better secondaries. We've seen that pattern, and then we see it with the Montana and the Ohio. Again, the same pattern, dropping the amount of guns, giving bigger caliber, but then giving you great secondaries. But as we saw on the lower one, comparing the Massachusetts and the North Carolina, I'm blanking on all these as I'm seeing the Dunkirk and the Colorado. I'm trying to think of the Colorado. I think that might be kind of cool, offering a bit more of a, okay, I'm not going to hit as hard in this spot, taking more of the tier 8 pattern than the tier 9 and tier 10, and giving this thing maybe some secondaries. Maybe they pop out to 7-8 kilometers at tier 7. I think it's something that a lot of people would find very fun. I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I feel like the ship doesn't really quite need it anymore. I think what this ship is, if you like USN battleships and you may be looking for a good tier 7 premium, which the line doesn't have. However, I will say the USN battleships have a lot of premium ships. You know, there's pretty much a premium at... I guess there isn't a tier 3, but pretty much every other tier there's kind of a premium besides tier 7. I'm blanking right now if there is one or not, but I think the ship is fine. I think if you like USN battleships and you want something that's a bit more of a kind of cruiser killer and this quantity over quality and kind of overall a pretty solid ship, and you want to shoot down some planes, like I love shooting down planes, California's gonna be a great ship. Tier 7 battleships tend to not be too crazy pricey before the price jump at tier 8, and I think you could have a lot of fun. I think tier 7 has some of the best maps in the game, and again right here, this is another good example of some of the weaknesses. Even though it's a Dunkirk, we hit him with 7 shells and did 5k damage. However, again, I will reference the Graf Spey spot where we did basically almost one-shot him. So that is going to be the weakness of the ship overall, is the smaller caliber shells are going to be worse against armored ships. But I think it's still pretty fun. I had fun playing this. I liked having the longer range. But maybe spice it up a little bit more secondaries. I think that I'd be for it, but I just don't think the ship needs it. I think what we see right now is a pretty good ship, and I think this will be a lot of fun for a lot of people, and I think a lot of people will really enjoy it. But yeah, overall, the second version of the California seems a lot more fair, seems a lot more balanced, and seems a lot more worth it. But I do feel like the downsides of the ship are still there, but I think the good sides of the ship now kind of maybe at least break even for it for sure, with the downsides being slow, smaller caliber, upsides being high A still, good, better guns, and with the range and the Sigma, and just overall a pretty solid ship. But anyways, this is still work in progress. Your stats are subject to change, so be sure to keep that in mind. And if there is any update, I will let you guys know and probably make a new video on it. But anyways, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.